So we have today the amazing Dr. Max Gowland. Dr. Max, can I call you Max?
Of course, absolutely.
Thank you. Max, tell us, how did you come up with this amazing brand, Prime 50?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, it started about 8 or 9 years ago. I mean, I used to run global research and development for a massive company, developed loads of products throughout my 45 years. But I recently went into sports nutrition. And then from there, I went into nutrition for the over 50s. And the reason for that is we actually interviewed over 1,000 over 50s. And what they said was, I just want to keep going. I just want to keep enjoying holidays, play with the grandkids, but I'm always tired. I've got stiff joints. I'm worried about my brain, my heart, etc. So we interviewed, first of all, the over 50s. But then being a technical guy, I went back to Public Health England data and I looked at all the data and I found that we were actually very deficient in many micronutrients as we got older. We couldn't absorb micronutrients as well either. We can't make vitamin D in our skins fast enough, etc., etc. So I thought, hey, there's a real opportunity here, but more importantly, there's a real need here to help the over 50s with their nutrition.
That's interesting. I mean, I know the answer to this because I've thought about it a million times, but I know we should get all our vitamins and nutrients in food that we eat, which isn't always great. So why, obviously, do we need supplements because of that?
Yeah, that's the biggest question I get asked all the time. And there's one very simple factual answer. We don't get everything from our food, which is a little bit counterintuitive. I mean, we're told, and the public health messages are, you don't need supplements, you can get everything in your food. I'm afraid that's a little bit out of date. It's a bit old-fashioned. It's not modern thinking. And the reason for that, again, going back to my technical career, I only believe data. So I went right back to first principles. I looked at data from Public Health England, but I looked at data from around the world as well. And it's very clear that the over 50s do not get enough vitamins and minerals from their food. That is fact. For example, vitamin D, over 90% are not getting enough vitamin D in their food, 90%. So most of us are deficient in D. Even vitamin C, 33%, are not getting the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, vitamin C. Magnesium, about 90%. And it goes on and on. So we're not getting everything that we need from our food.
But just, sorry, girls, I know you're waiting to come in, but just one question. Can you overdose on these vitamins?
You can't overdose on the Prime 50 or the Q2 vitamins because they've been, properly designed.
Yes.
But yeah, there are some vitamins out there which are less controlled than they should be. There are some that you get from abroad. Somehow they find their way onto the internet. And yeah, you can overdose. Too much of anything, too much of a good thing can become a bad thing.
There you go.
So, Max, I want to ask you this. I mean, I've been taking the Prime 50 collagen, which I love, and I've been taking the tablets as well. But I've got to ask you, even though they have really worked for me, my nails have gone berserk. And my hairdresser went, oh, my goodness me, look at your roots. I've suddenly gone crazy with that. But I mean, do supplements really work as opposed to creams and potions? I mean, how do you know exactly how much somebody needs to keep going?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I mean, one, they do work. There's 1,000,001 bits of data from all over the place, proper data, scientific data, show that they do work. But there's nothing magical about supplements. I mean, if you go back to skin, hair, nails, the products that you've been taking and the collagen product, it's very clear, nature's very clever. If you're a bit deficient in a mineral or a vitamin or collagen or something like that from your food, nature says, I tell you what, I don't care about skin and nails. Aesthetics don't, they're not going to help keep you alive and well. Therefore, I'm going to use this little bit of magnesium. You should have more, but you've only got a little bit. And we'll put that into the heart or the liver or whatever. So nature decides, it's called triage theory. Nature decides to use those micronutrients where they're needed for your health, your long-term health. It doesn't care about aesthetics. So if you're a bit deficient in selenium, biotin, or retinol, vitamin A, same thing, your skin, hair, and nails will be the first to suffer. So
Wow.
when you do replete and you do take something in which has got the right vitamins and minerals at the right level, you will, in 9 times out of 10 cases, you will see a difference.
Well, and it's funny, isn't it? Because they're the areas that grow when you're dead.
You get a lot of hair growth, you get a lot of skin turnover. All of these things need repleting on a daily basis. And if you're lacking that, retinol, or you're lacking that collagen or whatever, you will see a problem.
So we'll take those rather than die then. That's a good idea. Thank you for that. I want to ask you now, HRT is supposed to reboot us and change everything. So explain, if you could, the difference with, again, over 50, what this does for us with all these supplements.
Yes, I mean, I'll give you one example. If you take skin, for example, about 70% of your skin is actually made up of collagen and other polymers. You think, well, we've all heard of collagen, but what does it actually do? Collagen is actually like a polymer. It gives structure and plumpness to your skin. Unfortunately, after the age of around 40, you start to lose a lot of collagen. So you do need to replete with that extra collagen. Now, vitamin C helps make new collagen because we do make collagen ourselves. But unfortunately, the mechanism of making that extra collagen, unfortunately, wanes as we get older. So if we can actually intake more collagen, then that's great. So that's one example. Another example, selenium. We know that we don't get an awful lot of selenium in our diet. There's not a lot of selenium in the soil. The plants are grown in, for example. So we know we have low selenium intakes in the UK. That clearly is needed for hair growth and also nail growth. So again, we're actually deficient in that, most of us. And therefore, when you do take a supplement, you will normally see a difference. And it goes on. I could talk about every single vitamin or mineral and bore you to death. But they do work, but you do need to use a reputable brand. You don't want to buy any old thing from the internet.
Yeah, and Max, I must tell you, the fighting fatigue is really brilliant. I've been taking that and it really works.
It's not surprising. That's one of the biggest sellers. I mean, as you probably know, I present these products on QVC television on a regular basis.
Yes.
Fighting fatigue is a massive product.
Yes.
And it was the number one complaint when we interviewed the over 50s. I'm always tired to do anything. And I put up what I call the vicious spiral, which is, well, when we get older, we lose a bit of muscle mass. That makes us a little bit weaker. That puts pressure on the joints. So the joints stiffen up. That means we're going to laze around a bit because I couldn't be bothered. It's sore, which means you're going to lose more muscle mass. And that is the vicious cycle to frailty. And I love talking about that because it's the most important thing. It's the most important slide that I talk about when I'm on QVC. And if you're not, if you're, de-energized all the time, you're not going to get up and go. And being sedentary is very, very unhealthy. They say sitting is the new smoking. I'm a great believer in that. Being sedentary is a killer, literally.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the worst thing, because I drive a lot on motorways. And when I've driven, every day, and I know that's now affected my back. I know that now. And I didn't realize what I was doing, because you slump, you sit wrong, you bend. And so you're right, that a sedentary life is the worst possible life.
Yeah.
My advice is every time you go to the car park the car as far away as possible.
And walk.
Yes.
400 meters. Burn a few calories, but you're using your bones, your joints, your muscles, your tendons, ligaments. Always do that. If it's a hotel room, 1 or 2 floors up, take the stairs, not the lift.
Yeah.
That's what I call NEAT. It's what techies call non-exercise activity. That's really, really important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, God.
Thank you so much.
We love
We
you.
need you in our lives. We need you in our lives.
We
Every
do.